Hello everybody and welcome to another brand spanking new Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 video by me, CraftySimulations. Now, last week I flew the brand spanking new FlyingIron Simulations FW190A8, and quite frankly, she be kicking. An awesome warbird, but that is not the only warbird that FlyingIron Simulations have created. So I thought I would go back to something a little bit more British. Stiff upper lip and all that. So we have now the Spitfire LF Mark 9C. And I have featured this in a previous video, quite a while ago now. I have featured it. And I thought I would have a look at it again, because this is a bit of an older aircraft compared to the Fokker 190. And with every aircraft that FlyingIron Simulations create, they always like to up their game, which is a fantastic thing for us. So, just how good is their Spitfire? Now, if you go back to FSX days, there was a company called Real Air, I do believe, and they released a version of the Spitfire, and it was considered to be the best Spitfire in the sim. I know A2A did the early Mark Spit, with all their A2A goodness, but for me, the Real Air Spit was the one that was the best. So there is quite a few Spitfires on Flight Sim 2020, but I do believe that this Spitfire is the greatest by far. Now, I would normally run through things like the feature list of this aircraft, because it is a very feature-packed aircraft, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to go through is the words of the company. And this is their words to make you get involved in flying this aircraft. So they say, FlyingIron Simulations say, I should say, a timeless legend, an icon, a hero, and arguably one of the most beautiful aircraft to have ever existed. Can't quite deny that. The Spitfire is certainly up there with elegance. Designed by Supermarine to be a short-range, high-performance interceptor, the Spitfire is most famous for its pivotal role in World War II and the Battle of Britain, where it was a key weapon against Axis forces. Instantly recognisable by its iconic elliptical wing, the Spitfire needs little introduction from us. And that's true, that is correct. If you're British and you don't know what a Spitfire is, you may not know the different versions of the Spitfires, because there's a lot of them. You will just look at this and go, that's a Spitfire. Like I said, this is the LF Mark 9 Spitfire, so this one didn't feature in Battle of Britain, I don't believe. In fact, this one particularly didn't, because it's got the D-Day stripes on it. So this is a later Mark Spitfire, and I do believe it would have gone up against the FW190. So it is quite a tasty aircraft compared to the early Mark of Spits, the ones that, the Mark 1s and Mark 2s, the Battle of Britain era baby Spits. This one's a little bit different, it's a little bit more powerful. It's got still got the Packard, sorry, not the Packard, but the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine up front, which is quintessential with Spitfire. But it also leans towards a little bit of new technology in the fact of the elliptical wing, of which we just mentioned. The elliptical wing is very unique to the Spitfire. This one is a clipped model of wing. So the wingtips have been taken off a little bit. Now, this was to get faster roll rate. Obviously, this aircraft is a dogfighter, and the one that can turn the fastest can get usually onto the enemy's tail and shoot it down. None of that here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, obviously, but it is, like I say, a very unique Spitfire in the fact of it is missing a portion of its wings. So, I dare say in my first video I did of this aircraft, I probably went through all the bits and pieces of it. I will, just because of how awesome this aircraft is, and I mean this in reality as well in the flight sim, I shall try to keep the audio sound of me talking to when the aircraft is not live and running, because it's just an amazing aircraft and it's an amazing simulator product. But we will have a little look around it, so if you haven't seen the FlyingIron Spitfire, she is beautiful. All FlyingIron products are absolutely jaw-droppingly well created. Just the way the sun glances off the top of the fuselage here, and you get the rivets. It is a jaw-dropping piece of flight simulator software. The time and effort that must have gone into this aircraft is just biblical. To me, it's just one of the most beautiful aircraft in reality and in the sim. And I keep saying this about FlyingIron simulations. They do create some absolutely biblically beautiful products. They don't bang out loads and loads of stuff, which can be good, can be bad. They take their time and they create some absolutely awesome aircraft. We have the BF-109, we have the Spitfire, we have the FW-190, the Hellcat is also there, P-38 Lightning is also in their catalogue. And it gets better when you get inside this thing. It is absolutely period correct, with a few little instrumentation that obviously wouldn't have in a World War II spec era Spitfire, but everything else is just from a bygone era of aviation. Not built for comfort, obviously, built for one job, and it just looks the absolute dog's danglies when it comes to Flight Simulator. Absolutely amazing. Confusing and a bit of a mess in the cockpit, but like I said, it's a warplane. It's designed to do one thing. Now, like most of FlyingIron products, you do get the tablet. Now, I've showed this in the Focke-Wulf 190. It's pretty much the same. Starting off with your checklists, running from engine start to the miscellaneous and after landing stuff. This isn't interactive, okay? So it says here parking brake. You set the parking brake, you won't see a tick suddenly pop up. But you do have full checklists to go through all the flight from start up to shut down. We have our V speeds here in miles per hour and knots. Again, best glide speed. I don't think I want to be gliding this aircraft. Spitfires don't glide too well. We have our live data. Again, this is live, like I say, live data when the aircraft is up and running and will tell you everything that you need to know. Stats, again, this is all when the aircraft is alive and up and running. Our loadout, so this is more for our fuel and oxygen system. We are going to go for a short range. So our main tank has 70. The total is obviously 70. Our drop tank was not fitted. Yes, the Spitfire did fit a drop tank, centerline drop tank. This was more for when the Spitfires were venturing into France, because obviously this is an interceptor aircraft. It is designed to get up off the ground in Britain and defend against bomber waves during the Battle of Britain. Well, obviously when the Battle of Britain was over and the Allies were now fighting in France and pushing the Germans back, the Spitfire really didn't do itself too well with range, so they did fit a drop tank to it. So we do have an oxygen system as well. Not that we needed, but we do have the ability to fit it up here. We have this rudimentary autopilot. Obviously, this aircraft does not come with an autopilot, like most of the FlyingIron collection, but they do come with a tablet-based autopilot system. So you can, in theory, use an autopilot, but you are technically cheating. This is the workshop, so this will give you the damage or how things have worn down due to bad landings and all sorts of things. That's another thing I will go on to with this Spitfire. But this is the life of the aircraft. So you just click on these things and they just fill back up again. So oil filters and 25-hour inspection. Obviously, you would let this run down a lot more. I don't know if there's an actual effect, whether the spark plugs, let's say, go down, let's say, below a certain level and it's more difficult to start the aircraft. I haven't a clue. But it is sort of A2A-esque with a little bit of realism and how to look after the aircraft. Then we move on to the settings. So basically we have the replace GPS with a gun sight. Okay, so at the moment we are rocking the gun sight because if we click on that, we get a GPS unit. Again, I don't need a GPS. I'm not going to fly that far to warrant one. So we'll keep the gun sight. We can replace the MPH ASI with a NOTS ASI, so I just can't click on it. It's underneath here, there's a little indicator. So miles per hour I understand, NOTS I do not understand, so I keep it with the MPH on. We can replace the modern pilot with a World War II pilot. So at the moment we are rocking, this comes with the aircraft, we have a World War II-esque pilot, and however if you click on that, you end up with somebody who really doesn't deserve to be in a Spitfire. So we'll get rid of that. Hide pilot, that obviously gets rid of the pilot from the outside view. We install an accelerometer, which is this one here, which is your G count, a G meter or GO meter. We can hide the spinning prop, again, not so much like the Focke-Wulf 190 that has that animation or squirrely paint on it, which is a effect, obviously in the flight sim. You can turn that off so that it doesn't affect the flight simulator. This is probably for lower end computers, not much of an issue for me. Simplified ground handling. Okay, this makes the aircraft easier to turn on the ground. Again, I will cover this in a minute. I will say basically, if you have rudder pedals, this aircraft is a handful to taxi on the ground. If you don't have rudder pedals, turn on simplified ground handling. That's all it's going to be, because it's just going to be a lot easier for you. Pushback, again, we can push the aircraft back, not interested. Dynamic engine stress, we can turn that on, and then obviously we can stress the engine to basically cause damage, which will obviously more go into this side as well, causing more damage. Again, I've turned that off. I don't need to deal with that. Tablet brightness, and then we can install some radio presets. So presets for the local airfields that we will be going to. Obviously, we're not going to be going too far. So, I was going to mention the downside of this aircraft, and that is, we go back outside, these things here. The undercarriage. Now, the undercarriage in a Spitfire is a little bit different. It's a little bit tricky, and it sort of goes along the lines of the same way the BF 109 does. The undercarriage is very narrow track. And this basically means it is very easy to ground loop this aircraft, being a tail dragger as well. Obviously, that tail wheel is not powered, it's just sat there to keep the tail off the ground. So you can ground loop this aircraft. It is also very easy on landings and takeoffs. If you don't have the correct amount of wind over the wings, i.e. speed, you can drop a wing, and you don't have much of the undercarriage to protect the wing tips from obviously smacking into the ground, which would be less than fortunate. So basically, this aircraft is a killer while it's on the ground. You know, it kills the enemy airplanes in the sky, and it doesn't do much favours for the pilots on the ground. It is difficult. Just to have a little brief description, the Hawker Hurricane, the sister aircraft to obviously Spitfire, has the undercarriage a little bit differently. So as you can see here, the undercarriage will actually fold towards the wingtip. And that means you have a narrow track undercarriage, because it's obviously going to pivot from here. Now, the Hurricane's undercarriage pivots from around about here and drops down, so you end up with a wide set undercarriage. So this was always noted about the Spitfire, that trainee pilots were at the mercy of narrow track undercarriage, just the same as we are in the flight sim, only we can walk away from this. It was very easy, especially on a grass strip, to dig a wheel in and have an issue. And obviously most airfields during World War II were grass strip airfields. So again, she is a bit of a handful on the ground. And we do have that issue here in the sim. So a little bit of information on the aircraft we're flying. We're flying Muscat, and this is one of the repaints that comes with the collection of aircraft. And it is a very good aircraft. I believe Muscat actually still exists. I'm sure I've seen it in a display. I could be wrong, but yeah, it is an accurate rendition of a D-Day Spitfire, henceforth the D-Day stripes. So, I have gone through pretty much all I can really go through at the moment. What we'll be doing today, we will be flying from here at RAF Waddington, and we will be putting the Spitfire through a little flight out. Let's think about this. We're turning out right out over towards North Highcombe, back up towards Lincoln, swing back round, and then we'll do a sort of display in the area of Waddington, and then we'll come in for the landing again. That's going to be the fun part. Now, I've done a few flights with this aircraft to kind of rehearse myself and practice and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, most of the landings were good. Most of the landings were bouncy, but I didn't crash. So now the camera's on, that's when I'm going to crash. So let's go back inside. So what we do to start this aircraft up, or what I like to do. So we'll have the battery on. We'll uncage those. We're going to need them. Pull the stick back. Fuel system goes on. Pull the primer, or unlock the primer. Mixture is going to go to full. Cockpit is going to go to full. 1/2 inch on the throttle. Now we have two ways to get fuel flow into the engine. We can see here this little red light is on. That engine is not fuel, the pressure is not in the fuel system. So we can use this, which is the wobble pump. And all I can think of is Blackadder saying wobble. And you press this a numerous amount of times till this light goes out, and a little bit more after the light's gone out, just to make sure the system is pressurized. Or you can press a little hidden button, which is around here. Press that. Automatically does this. It's an automated pressurization system. So we'll shut the latch and latch properly. So we have battery has been set on, mags are coming on. So startup in a Spitfire is unique, to say the least. First of all, we have to prime this engine, so I have set this to be quite a warm day, so we're going to give it about 6 pumps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 for luck, and we'll keep it unlocked. We have a boost and a startup, I think it is. I can't remember exactly what the technical term is. Boost coil and engine starter. So ideally you press both buttons at the same time. Obviously we can't do that in a flight sim because we have mouse pointer. So we have a little click spot in here which will actually engage both of them. Now I have noticed this. I watched a video from another YouTuber and he actually pressed the boost coil for a few seconds on its own, and then hit the starter for the engine even. So that's what we're going to do. So I am going to move the view to outside because this is a great sound. And like I said, I am going to keep the audio down. And yeah, we're going to go from there basically. So I will see you on the flip side when we're back here on the ground. There we go. The Flying Iron Simulations Spitfire LF Mark 9, or in this case, the LF Mark 9C. It actually was, surprisingly, one of the best landings I've ever had in the Spitfire. It is a tricky little so-and-so when it comes to landings, which is nothing, you know, it's nothing specific to the simulator. It is just how the Spitfire was. That narrow track undercarriage does catch you out some of the times. You can come in a little bit fast and you can bounce it. I have kangarooed it down the runway no end of times, done the suspension a world of good. But yeah, you just match the speed, keep good visuals, make sure the wings are level when you do land, you know, don't land on the turn, the basics, basically. And yeah, you will get this plane down on the ground. And like I say, it is absolutely amazing. Flying Iron do fantastic work when it comes to their warbirds. Now, with Flight Simulator 2024 literally around the corner, I do know that they are working on making this variant available in the early days of the release of 2024. They haven't said it's going to be out for day one release, so I don't believe they have, but they are working on it to make this version, the LF Mark 9, to be able to be ported straight over with no detrimental effects to swapping sims from 2020 to 2024. Obviously, I don't know how 2024 is going to run, so I don't know if there's going to be anything specifically different about it that's going to make the aircraft look a lot better or anything like that, or handle differently. In fact, I do know it's going to handle differently because 2024 handles different anyway. But they have said they are going to change. I think they're releasing this variant, but they're going to make the tail the more rounded tail instead of the pointed tail, which is obviously a later mark of the Spit. So I don't know exactly what mark of Spit is going to come out, but I do know it is going to be coming out on 2024, and I would dare say same with the Focke-Wulf 190 and other aircraft. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you are interested in warbirds here on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, check out just about any of the range of aircraft from Flying Iron Simulations. They are absolutely out of this world with how good they are. So if you have any questions or comments, bang them below. I'm more than happy to talk about Spitfire all night long. And I will see you guys and girls in a future Microsoft Flight Simulator video very, very soon.